Oh, hello. I've been so heartened and encouraged by the amazing pre-order response to my debut studio album, Super Sexy Heartbreak, and I've worked hard on making it a beautiful object. This release is something of an experiment. I wanted to recapture some of the old magic around a physical release and have a wider conversation about the value of music itself. The response has been truly amazing, so thank you so much to each and every one of you who has pre-ordered. It really means the world to me. And many of you have commented that you wish to purchase, but you don't have a CD player anymore. However, you do have a vinyl player. So I thought I'd give you an insight into what it's like to release a vinyl record as an independent artist, my plans for doing so, and some of the challenges it entails. But I am pleased to announce I am going to make it happen. Stick around to find out how you can get your hands on one. Nowadays, vinyl is the most commonly used shorthand for a record played on a phonograph, gramophone, or turntable. Recorded sound was first captured by Edouard Léon Scott de Martinville in Paris in the late 1850s. Scott had been experimenting with capturing sound waves on small paper discs using a stylus with an invention he called the phonautograph. By April 9, 1860, he managed to record a small section of a French folk song, Au clair de la lune, but because the necessary playback equipment hadn't yet been invented, he couldn't exactly prove what he'd discovered. It was Thomas Edison who took Scott's concept and expanded it so the sound could be played back. His phonograph was invented in December 1877 using a thin sheet of tin foil wrapped around a grooved metal cylinder. 10 years later, Alexander Graham Bell and his collaborators invented the graphophone, which used wax and engraving as the recording method. And in the 1890s, the German-born inventor Emil Berliner patented the very first record player, the gramophone. Berliner's method used a stylus to trace a line through a thin coating of wax on a zinc disc, which was then etched in acid to convert the line into a playable groove. This pioneering work led to the transition from phonograph cylinders to flat discs. By 1912, the flat record had won over Edison's cylinder records, which declined over the years and ceased manufacture in 1929. Records were often pressed using shellac before polyvinyl chloride, aka vinyl, became the dominant material in the late 1940s. The advent of the 45 RPM single and the 33 RPM long-playing LP helped further popularize the format, which dominated the industry until the invention of new technologies like the CD and MP3 made it look like they might consign vinyl records to the history books. Vinyl records suffered a huge dip in popularity in the late 80s, when distributors changed their returns policies. Shops didn't want to be stuck with stock that might not sell and became more conservative in their ordering, which created a vicious cycle of labels making fewer albums available on vinyl, leading to pressing plants closing due to the fall in business. In turn, thousands of record shops closed as consumers switched to CDs and digital. But something was brewing. In 2008, for the first time since 1984, sales of LPs rose dramatically. Nielsen SoundScan reported 1.88 million sales of new LPs, an 89% increase from 2007. Why did this happen? It's most likely a combination of factors. Record Store Day began in 2007. TV and films like High Fidelity, 500 Days of Summer, and The OC all showed characters with extensive record collections. The booming popularity of electronic music and the availability of low-cost record players and eye-catching coloured vinyl available at trendy chains like Urban Outfitters are all factors. Since 2007, vinyl sales have grown year on year. In 2021, Taylor Swift sold over 100,000 vinyl copies of Evermore in 1 week, beating Jack White's previous record of 40,000 for Lazaretto, more than twice over. In 2022, she sold 1.695 million vinyl records in the US alone, meaning that 1 in every 25 vinyl LPs sold that year was a Tay-Tay album. It's not just her. Major stars like Adele, Harry Styles, Coldplay, and even ABBA all released new albums on vinyl in the last few years, and that has led to a production bottleneck. There has just been more demand than supply, and many of the surviving pressing plants are working with antiquated equipment, and expanding capacity takes time and money. A fire at the Apollo Masters Corporation, one of the few locations in the world that made the lacquer discs essential for vinyl production, further exacerbated the problem. The COVID pandemic and the war in Ukraine have both meant increases in shipping and the cost of raw materials. As a result, retail prices have rocketed. It's not uncommon for a new record to be priced around the $45 mark, and that's with mass production. Major labels issuing record store day exclusives meant some long delays of 9 to 12 months for non-affiliated records because of the monopolization of pressing plants' capacity, although I'm told this has since come down to a more manageable 2 to 3 months. But this still means smaller labels and independent artists and DJs have to hope and pray that the demand will still be there when their stock finally hits. For some of them, selling merch at shows is their only means of making income. When I was making this record, I had no idea what the appetite would be for it. I'm aware that I'm still an emerging artist, and while I have seen some lovely increases in my YouTube subscriber count over the last few years, that doesn't always translate into album sales. Vinyl is expensive to manufacture. Aside from the stock itself, you have to factor in remastering the record and resizing all the artwork. It's fragile and costly to ship. When you're an independent artist, every copy broken or lost in the post leads you closer to making a loss. That's why CDs have been my first choice of physical product thus far. But I personally would love to have this record on vinyl, and if you would too, and you're happy to wait a little bit, then I'm going to do all I can to make it happen for you. So there is a pre-order link in the description below. Please comment if you've taken the plunge and bought one. And if you can't order right now, then I totally understand. There's no problem. I just have no idea about the scale of interest. There might be 0 of you, there might be 5 of you. I don't know. So make yourselves known. And be sure to sign up to my newsletter for all my latest updates. I am plotting some tour dates over the next year. So if you want to see me live, then also let me know. Okay, that's all my asks. There we go. Over and done with. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you here very soon.